Welcome to the Amanda Effect, where I thrive to inspire, encourage, and uplift you through life's journey. I'm here to help educate you on self-improvement in life's different categories, including family, careers, relationships, mental health, and so much more. So let's get started because I'm excited for you to feel the Amanda Effect. To the Amanda Effect. This has been such an interesting time trying to get started here. Yeah. I'm your host, Amanda Dukes, and I am here with my lovely co-host, Topher.
Hey, guys.
He's sick of me, by the way. It's okay. It's fine. Nothing I'm not used to. So, we got round two. Were you ready for part two today?
I am ready. I'm really curious on the second perspective, and we're going to see how this goes.
Yes, we are. So I'm super, super excited to get a male perspective because I feel like, in a sense, we kind of set this up as an attack on men, but that wasn't the intent at all. Which Keisha did a beautiful job explaining herself last week. I think she gave a lot of things to think about, and I think that there were a lot of good points brought up. So yes. I'm excited to hear our wonderful Black male perspective today outside of yourself. So I'm going to sit back and let you guys, not sit back, y'all. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
I'm going to let you guys have that conversation and really, tell us your perspective and your side of things, because again, this is an important conversation. It's an important topic. So this is the Black Love Effect from a male perspective in response to last week's concerns and the saying or the question, why do Black men tend to fail me? So we have on here today, his name is Marcus Lindsay. He just so happens to be my brother, my best friend. Everybody knows that this is my baby. So, and he's gone through a lot. He's definitely has his own trials and tribulations with relationships that he will share. And he has listened to the episode and he definitely has some feedback. We're going to ask him questions. So we're just going to get this all on the table and get it taken care of. Sound good?
Yes.
All right, let's get started. This is Marcus, aka apparently we call him Frex. An account of his camera's not as good, but if y'all could still tell, he got all these wonderful freckles all over his face.
Yeah, how everybody doing out there?
So, Marcus, are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Awesome. So we're just jumping right in. I don't like to really give these big, long, drawn-out speeches, but
all right, Trey Songz.
Okay, we'll let that go. Oh, this ain't that show, no. But just in case, y'all, if anything pops off, I just need y'all to know I came prepared and well equipped, just in case y'all was confused. I had to show off my shirt. I only wore it on the podcast on purpose. I needed y'all.
Look, because you can't go out in coat, you got to show it off on the show, huh?
Exactly, because I'm responsible and I wear a coat sometimes.
Yes, it's not that cold here in Atlanta.
Oh, yes, I should say he is in Atlanta, Georgia.
I was like, well, wait a minute. I was real confused. It's like, no, it's cold here, bro.
Yes, it was about 60 degrees today.
Okay, fair
they
enough.
irritate me. I called. He's like, "Oh, it's chilly here today." I was like, "What is it, 50?" He was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Boy, bye, get out of here."
I don't think I can survive another Ohio winter.
I mean, you could survive. You just wouldn't like it.
Can't argue with you there.
So, Marcus, why don't you give us a very quick bio about you, what you do, and a little bit about your love life. Just a little bit. Please don't
Just a little bit. Okay.
Don't get me started.
Well, I'm 30. I'll be 31 here in probably about a couple weeks. I work for Delta Airlines. I like basketball. I go fishing, cooking. I mean, what you want to know?
I was like, wait a minute.
What's this the love connection?
I was about to say this is not a dating show. I just meant
I like short walks on the beach.
short
No,
walk.
okay,
long
okay.
walk.
Y'all got me. I'm a goofy person, so you know it's all right. As y'all can see, Amanda's my sister, so
I wish y'all understood. Who's Alexa is talking?
It's not mine.
Marcus.
Alexa, turn off.
Alexa is not a part of this conversation. Tell her she has
Hey.
the book to be on this podcast.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know why she spoke like while I was speaking, and it kind of low key throwing me off right now.
It's kind of creeping you out.
Just a little bit. We're gonna acknowledge like that didn't happen.
Dang, listen. All right, we just gonna move on because now I'm scared. Just a little bit. So give me your initial thoughts on last week's episode. It's been 2 weeks. We didn't even address that. You guys didn't even get an episode last week. But 2 weeks ago, the episode from the female perspectives. Give us your initial thoughts.
Okay, my initial thoughts. I mean, Keisha, she had some great points. I will say that she definitely had some really great points. But to me, she also has to understand, I think as far as when it comes to love and everything like that, I think the black man is the most scrutinized individual. That's just my personal perspective because of how we are brought up. We're brought up not to be emotional and so forth and whatnot. We're told if you're emotional, then to man up, so to speak. So we're not time and time again, we're somewhat not in tune with those emotions to make that connection on a higher level with women sometimes. And it's kind of, there is a barrier, and then there is, an acknowledgement of self, but you have to go through the process of a person. So that's kind of just my thoughts when it came to that. And when she said, she likes a hustler because she's a hustler as well. I mean, sometimes you have to define that hustle, because I mean there are certain people that hustle when it comes to a mental aspect, and want to the hustle as far as in a beyond just getting money. There's other things to life besides money, and so you have to acknowledge that case, because maybe he's hustling at home for you. Maybe he's doing things the small things, cooking, cleaning, or helping out with whatever. That wasn't happening.
Like that ain't what she.
No, that's not what was happening. So, but I appreciate that.
Yeah,
like that perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's just you have to look at things from a broader perspective than just your own perspective. Try to find out where somebody's coming from. If you don't understand it, that's when the communication and comprehension comes into case. Speak about it. If if there's something that they're doing that you don't understand, you have to understand they have a different background than yours. Right. So when somebody has a different background, when you start not to understanding things that they do, that's how you make that deeper connection. And so then you start to ask, and then you start to get into their background, and then once you get into their background, that's how you can tell and learn how to love somebody when it comes to that case.
So let me help clarify. You're saying that process is how the deep connection happens. That process of getting to know where you came from, why, what makes you tick, why do you tick, the things you go through, why do you think like that? You feel like that is a part of falling in love.
Yes, okay. That's all a process. It's called learning each other. The beginning stage, everybody says, it's the honeymoon stage or whatever, because you're not really basically learning each other. You're really just enjoying each other's company. Fair. Now when you reach past the part of just enjoyment of company, and it's usually around the first argument, so to speak, the first argument or the first disagreement, whatever you want to call it.
True.
That's when you kind of see how somebody handles that situation. Now it could be anything, and if it's something that you don't understand, it's nothing to get mad at, because this is part of the relationship. You're not going to just click instantly on everything always. Now, if the first argument or the first disagreement makes you want to run and say, "Oh, red flag, this is not here," then you were never ready to be in a relationship to begin with.
Is that
Because
fair though? Is that fair? Because okay.
now
So
it depends. It depends what the argument's about too. The disagreement's
okay.
about.
So true, because somebody may not think that, I don't know. Pick something simple. Somebody may not think something as simple as helping with the dishes should be an argument, right? But for them, they have been in a relationship where it's like, no, I've been used and I've learned I want help. And so if you can't provide that help, then I'm out. So it's more than that. So and they're not going to stick around because they've made a wasted years and years on this person, and they're like, no, I found out what I wanted. I'm not going to keep waiting around for this to happen, or to help understand somebody else. I don't have the time, so I'd rather find somebody who initially likes to help with these things. Everybody has their deal breakers.
Everybody has their deal breakers. Yes.
So sometimes they may look different than others. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So answer me this. If can you understand why some women are done being the therapist, or the person who sticks around and helps you figure out your emotions, help you learn your emotions? I hear what you're saying about that falling in love, but I think that there also may be an age barrier to that, because we're all 30, okay?
Yeah.
So by 30, I don't really want to sit there and, help a man understand his emotions, I don't think. To a certain extent, not starting over. Now, if my husband develops new stuff because of stuff we go through, we're doing those emotional transitions together.
Okay.
But at 30, if I'm meeting somebody new, do I really want to walk and hold their hand through that at 30? To me, I'm like, nah, we should have most of this figured out. Go ahead, Topher.
And like to add on to that, so like Keisha's getting ready to be 36. So like for her, like the youngest man that like she might date is going to be essentially like older than like the three of us. So like you're 30, Amanda's 30, I'm 31, but like, so if she's dating somebody who's, we'll just say 37, somewhere between 36 and 40, and you would think that a lot of times those people, especially like if they're already established in a career, that sort of thing, that they would have kind of made it over that hurdle to where like they're about communication and what makes them tick and what doesn't, especially when usually like most people in that age, it's not like they've been living in their mom's basement and like the 40-year-old virgin. Like, you have somebody who has had multiple life experiences, and like this isn't their first relationship or first encounter when someone's like, hey, like you have terrible communication, and like I'm trying to basically figure this out, but you don't communicate. And so like I think that that's more so like when it came to that piece of it, where she's coming from. And I can just say that because like Keisha is my best friend, and like I know every detail to where I'm just like, you dated some bums.
Okay. I mean, I'll say this. There definitely are bums out there. There's always going to be bums out there, and it's always good to find out earlier in the relationship than later. But I will say this: there are some people that come off as bums, but actually could be worth it in the long run. And I say that
but then they need to get it together before they get into relationships.
Okay, I get you. I get you with that. That's where the woman or man, neither one are supposed to be counselors in a relationship. You're not a counselor. You're not your therapist. I'm there for you, but I'm not your therapist. But sometimes there are people out there that will get into a relationship and then get out of a relationship and don't really have the feedback on what went wrong.
That's true.
So therefore they're oblivious to maybe their own faults. Now there are some people who are capable of self-reflecting and actually coming across their own faults. Now
very short list of people.
A very short list of people. That's that goes back to one of your old accountability. one of your old shows. You know,
Yes.
you have to hold yourself accountable at sometimes. You know, it's not always the other person's fault. Sometimes it is your fault.
Or you played a
And
part. Or maybe
or
there's
you
not enough.
played a part.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when it gets down to that, you know, if you feel like this person has more pros than cons, but like that one con is just almost like an ink stain, and you're trying to get it out. You know, if you not to say that you're a therapist, but you can sit down and still, hey, you know, these are some things that you do that I feel maybe you can do better, that you can be better at. And so it's not to say that I'm your therapist and say, oh, okay, where does this root come from? That's for you to find out. It's just for me to tell you how what it looks like coming from my perspective in this relationship. So you can that person can take it and run, or it can take it and say, yeah, you know what? Maybe I am messing up. You know, I can change that, because it doesn't change my morals. It doesn't change my morals, and it doesn't change my character.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
if it doesn't change your morals or change your character, it's something that can be changed for the better. And that's if you want to stay in that relationship. Because a lot of people will sit there and say, you know, well, this is me, take it or leave it. No, that's toxic energy. You don't want to be toxic, because I go to church. You know, I go to church a lot, and you know, my pastor said a great thing. You know, he said, when you get into a relationship, and this goes down towards marriage, not just, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, but you can use this aspect in that. But what's important to you becomes important to me, because it's not
If
just
it's healthy.
you. Yes, it's not just me that I have to worry about. I have to worry about you and your feelings as well. So like I said, if it's something that can be changed, it's not changing your morals or your character, then
Mhm.
that's something that you can change to make the relationship go further.
Now, I feel like I have to say this because I need to put a disclaimer out there for my listeners, because you know me, I'm all about authenticity and being yourself. So by me agreeing with the, you know, oh, this is me, take it or leave it, you know, that's toxic, could be confusing. So let me explain, because I do agree with that. Now, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, I'd have been like, nah, what you mean? Like, I mean, like, however, that's where that accountability portion comes in. Being authentic to yourself is really telling yourself the truth. Look at it at a whole. If you can't respond to something somebody's giving you right then sit with it for a minute. Because I'm gonna be clear, there's some times where something is given to me and I don't receive it right away. And then I'll come back a day later, like, you know what? Actually, I thought about it and you might have been right. Maybe it was me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and everybody has that. But again, that's not saying, you know, sit there and dwell on it. Oh, you're always the problem. And just look at it from an actual, like a realistic, rational mindset point of view. Because if you do love that person, like you said, Marcus, like it should be something that you sit with and look like, okay, is this affecting me?
Mhm.
Is it really detrimental to my character? Is it hurting me? And then assess it that way. If it's really going to irritate you to do it, then I'm like, okay, then no, don't. If you're like, listen, I tried it and it's really, really bothering me. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's irritating me. Me and my husband have had plenty of those conversations
Mhm.
because we do care about each other. And what is important to him is important to me. But then I notice certain things and I'm like, okay, I really thought I could do that and I really wanted to, but I can't. Is there something else? Is there any other form of that I can do? And then you revisit it, right? So
Right.
I like that. That's a good point. The communication. It almost sounds like in these relationships that end, there needs to be like an exit date. Like, you know, they do an
Um.
exit interview at a job.
So
Oh, you know, listen, wait, listen, wait,
I'm not a big person on the whole closure. I'm not a big
listen,
person on
listen.
that.
So you said they leave the relationship without knowing what they actually did wrong. I'm not saying this actually happened. I'm just saying in my head, this
Yeah.
makes more sense. It's like an exit interview at a job. When you put in your 2 weeks notice in, they give you an exit interview. Okay, you know, is there anything the job could have done better? Why are you leaving? Blah, 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 blah. In a sense, that's kind of how relationships
So,
should be.
but you see, the thing is, you should already have had that talk before it even got there. So you should be able to
True.
self reflect. You should be able to self reflect on what happened and the things that were said before you even got to this point. And that's why I said self reflect to find out, because honestly, it's your own awareness that's the best thing. Like as far as what you said with the dishes, example. Oh, you
Mhm.
know, it that could even stem, like, because to me that stems from, you know, past traumas, and learning somebody else's past traumas is very, very vital in relationships. I personally believe, because once if you figure out somebody's past trauma and you trigger it, you can kind of know what to do or what to say to kind of ease the situation. And so as far as with the dishes, I'm looking for somebody to help or whatever. That sounds like she's dealt with somebody who was just a taker and never gave.
Mm-hmm.
So now something small like the dishes became a big problem because now she's thinking about a past relationship, and now you don't even know what's going on. So now you getting yelled at because you said, man, I don't feel like doing the dishes. And all you thinking is just, man, it's just dishes. This is what goes through men's heads probably at this point. Man, it's just the dishes.
Look at my face, y'all. Because y'all try to simplify stuff. Y'all know it ain't that simple. Y'all like,
it's not that simple.
Dishes.
But
we ain't, and you know that. But okay. Anyways, I digress.
Exactly. So you're like, oh, it's just the dishes. Like, all right, I'll do them. But at that point, you're like, it's over, and now I'll do them.
Now we just doing them.
and so at that point, that's when you both need to just take a big breath and just relax, because being at that state and it's whatever, I'll do them, is not going to help the relationship. I know this is easier said than done.
Marcus
it's always going to happen.
Sisters, you guys, just so y'all know.
But that's the thing, though, is that like a lot of times for like us as Black men, we don't come to the table having this insight.
Don't at all.
And sometimes like it takes, like, if you would ask my wife on how like we communicate now versus how we communicated when we first started talking, like.
Because
I'll have Haley on here one day, actually.
I'm not sure if this is just a Black men problem, but we don't really like to be vulnerable, pretty much, especially not at the very beginning of a relationship, because when we get vulnerable, it opens us up, and if it goes wrong, we take it a lot worse than women.
Let me explain,
because we don't like to be vulnerable.
But let me explain to you why I think it's more common in Black men, why we see it more in Black men, because they've never been taught it's okay to be vulnerable. Because if you guys are vulnerable, then that's letting your guard down. When you let your guard down, you open yourself up, not just for women to hurt you and take advantage of you, but the world at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why Black men get that stigma, because it probably is more common in Black men. They were raised to be strong, to have a tough, shell, a tough crust. So you're not easily penetrated. So you don't get taken advantage over and over and over, because they're trying to teach you to learn from the mistakes and
I'm also going to counter that. I'm also going to counter that with the man that does, share his emotions a lot, easier or whatnot. He gets told he's soft. As a man, you get told, oh, he can't handle me, he's too soft. Or man, why you want trying to always talk about your feelings? Like, so then now he's looking like, all right, well, cool. I'm gonna shut off completely, and now he builds up. This is how women build up a wall. A man builds up the same wall of vulnerability, though. Like now, any other woman that he messes with, he doesn't want to be vulnerable, because the last chick just told him, man, you real feminine, or you always trying to share your feelings. Ain't nobody trying to hear all that. Like, I want a man. I want a real man. Like,
and the crazy thing is that, but if you ask most women, regardless of race, on their idea of what who a man is, what he's supposed to do, this, that, and the other, 9 times out of 10, most women leave out the emotional piece because society doesn't say that that's what a man is supposed to have. I mean, you might not, Amanda, but
I was like, I thought you were going somewhere with that. I was like, oh no, wait.
But at the same time, but they don't. Or it comes from a perspective of a lot of women, especially, unfortunately, like we'll say, like maybe like with our generation, for women of color who may not have had their father in their life. And so they really don't know what a man is supposed to look like other than what they may have dealt with in the past, and they don't want it to look like that. But a lot of times, regardless of the woman, she makes up this idea of what this man is, and then when he doesn't deliver, that's when he has failed. But you never shared with him who you wanted him to be, or what you thought that this was going to be. And most women just don't do that, but they have this fantasy or this idea of who this man is without really telling the man that they've been dealing with on what she needs from him clearly. And she'll beat around the bush based upon what he does.
I'm going to counteract something Marcus said, and then I'm going to ask him a question.
Okay.
Because he said, Ben built up this crust, from women saying like, oh, you're too soft. I want a real man, yada, yada, yada. Right. So then you build up these walls. And so then you get this, this crust. And I think maybe, I'm not a doctor or anything, guys, this is where a lot of the budding of the Black love happens. Because guess what? Black women are also brought up to be strong. Don't let nobody take advantage of you. Black women were looked at as sex symbols for so long. So they are constantly on alert. So now you got this man coming in who done built up this crust, trying to be all rough and tough with her. And she may need a man that's more in touch with his feelings. But then here you got the Black man who's like, I can't do this. I can't be vulnerable because then I'm getting taken advantage of in every different aspect. And this is where the butting of the heads happen. I feel like that we all need the same thing, but we're so scared to give it because we're so afraid we're not at the proper time to receive it.
And one more thing before, one more thing before.
Well, we're gonna be on here all day. What? No,
just one more thing. And this is also, I think, a big divider in Black women and Black men, and this deals with the whole money issue, because there are a lot more successful Black women than there are Black men, as far as Okay, that's coming.
Yeah, so that was one of the questions. We're gonna get there. Okay. I got you. We're definitely gonna touch on that. That was something big that I wanted to actually talk about. But I have a question because now, Marcus, I'm just be honest. You know how I am. This is my show, authenticity. So we're gonna be honest.
Let's go.
We've had plenty of talks about cosmetic looks of women, specifically Black women, and the things that they do to make themselves feel beautiful. I'm gonna say that. So why do Black men tend to pick apart Black women, their hair, if they want to wear makeup, how tight their clothes are, or how tight their clothes aren't, and the things that they do? Dang.
I honestly can't really answer. I can't really answer that because I'm not that way. So it's hard for me to really give you a perspective because. So
I'm gonna need you to add any more at the end of that.
I will say this. I will say this because I'm a person that I'm a person that don't like a lot of makeup or weave. I like for to be a little bit more natural, be yourself. But I also understand that there's time and places where makeup is or weave is tend to be used. But for I just like I don't really, it doesn't really bother me of what you wear as far as just don't make me look stupid if we're together.
So what would make you look stupid?
So if you decide to go out in let's say the little bralette tops with a nice little pencil skirt. I know all these terms because I have sisters. So
I'm mad he made a disclaimer.
I got to put a disclaimer, but I got to paint the picture. I got to paint the picture so you can really understand what I'm saying. So like the little bralette tops, whatever. It looks a little revealing or whatever, but you can have like a nice little blazer go on top of it. It can look real nice. But don't go out there flaunting it and looking for the attention. If you think the outfit looks nice and you just want to wear it because it looks nice, fine. But don't wear it because you want the attention and men staring at you and looking at you and drooling all over you, maybe throwing cat calls or whatever the case may be. Now, I understand that's going to happen sometimes regardless whether what you wear or not wear. But if you wear that for the, what I'm saying, oh, I'm about to go out to the club with my girls and, I'm going to wear this 6-inch skirt. and I'm I'm be twerking and bending over and stuff like that. That's low key making me look stupid.
Amanda, stop with the facial expressions.
I can't because I'm trying to figure out which one of us is going first, me or you.
I mean, I'm just gonna say this. Like, I think, like my wife, she does hair for a living, so her day to day is basically helping women feel and look pretty. Okay, but then I made a comment to her a couple months ago about her like basically like doing her makeup. I mean, like perfectly to go to work, and I was just joking. I was like, "Oh, you don't do that for me," and it was just a joke. It literally was just a joke, and so she made a Facebook status about it, and it kind of blew up. and like, but her response back to me before that was like she wasn't doing it for her clients, like no matter like what she was doing, like just specifically that day with her makeup, like she was like, we do it for ourselves. And she was like, it's not about like, oh, if someone's going to compliment me on like my contouring today or my, like on my eye makeup. She was like, I did it for myself. And I think that's sometimes like where we feel like as men, where we might look stupid for something based upon the actions of other people once they see your woman. And you can't hold your woman responsible for that, because unless you know that you are with someone who is a true attention seeker, if that's not who you're with, then it shouldn't be an issue. But an attention seeker when you see them, and that's how they got your attention to begin with.
So I want to piggyback off that too.
Nope.
Can I piggyback off real quick? I just want to piggyback real quick, because he said like, so if you know your lady looks good, you have to accept the fact that she's going to attract eyes of other people. Now it's all about you to just trust your woman, no matter the case.
Thank you. Now let me go ahead and let you have it real quick. You said not to make you look stupid. If she go out in her little bralette and blazer and jeans and heels, I'll picture the whole look. Hold on, stop. You said, okay, or pencil skirt. Let me finish. Wait.
Go ahead.
Because you said shaking this, twerking, doing it for attention. She's going out to dance. She gonna twerk. That's just what happens nowadays when we go out. We ain't two-stepping. We ain't going to a wedding, so ain't no electric slide gonna be being played. Ain't no Cupid shuffle. They going to twerk. Now, unless she's twerking on somebody, then there's a whole issue. And if she's with you, she wouldn't be seeking for attention. Girlfriend want to go out and have a good time. She look good. That's your thing. Don't have me looking stupid. Actually, she got you looking real good because you done pulled a baddie. In 2 or 3, I done lost what number I was on.
By looking stupid, I mean when somebody comes over, put like this, giving that attention back. What word am I looking for?
I mean, basically, you're basically saying don't go out and
act single when you're in a relationship.
That's a better way of putting it. Now, here's the communication barriers, because what you're saying, okay, if you're going to look that cute, you better make sure you're not out there acting single. Now, that as a married woman, 100% understand.
That's it. That's what I mean by that. Acting by making me look stupid.
It's not even about a married woman. It's about if you are in a committed relationship.
You're right. You're 100% right about that. Because if you committed, you shouldn't be out there looking available. And I don't think a short skirt makes you look available.
It's not the short skirt. Like I said, I can care less what you wear. But if you welcome that attention with feedback, then we have issues.
Here's the thing though. The woman who wants the attention is the woman who doesn't have a problem with it. And you will know that up front. Because when you meet her, she's going to be getting attention from all of the guys. So make sure you're paying attention yourself, because that attention is what caught you. So be careful. Don't expect to just
But it's not about what caught me. It's not about what caught me, because when she caught me, she was single. Now that she's no longer single.
But it's a when you are an attention seeker, it's a character trait about you. And so whether you are seeking attention from the person you are with, and or whether you're seeking attention at your job or at wherever you choose to hang out on the weekends.
She want all the attention. She want your attention, their attention, her attention, his attention.
And for a person like me, that would be considered a deal breaker.
And that's fair.
It is. It's 100% fair. And don't let nobody call you insecure about that either, because I don't like that.
That's not. That has nothing to do with insecurity with me.
Because I don't think you want your woman walking around in like, a parka.
I want her to feel and look good and beautiful, but also sexy. See, there's a difference between beautiful and sexy. I want her to feel all of that. I want her to embrace all of that, but yet, at the same time that you get yourself ready and look that good for your girls, I want that same energy when it comes to me.
I do. I will say this because actually, Topher, Aaron has pointed out how I got cuter to go hang out with my girlfriends and with him sometimes. And I don't know why. I think a lot of women do this. And for me, I'm only speaking for myself, ladies, so I'm not attacking. For me, it was an insecurity thing. I felt like my friends were gorgeous. So I needed to feel gorgeous. I needed to outdo them. Like I needed to make sure that like I was being looked at too. Because they were
outdo them with me. Outdo them.
I'm being honest.
And I'm a gas you up the whole time too. That's another thing. That's another thing for men.
He'll tell me I look beautiful, but I also don't like when he embarrasses me either. So
forget that. Men gas your lady up. When she getting ready and she looking good, make sure you tell her she looking good. Like don't hold back neither. Don't hold back.
Because if you don't, somebody else will. And then that trickles on to other things. And that's where feedback comes into when somebody is out in their pencil skirt, bralette with their blazer. And if they didn't get the compliments that they were looking for at home and they get them outside of home, that's where other things happen. But that's where, basically you can't be out there looking single. So especially if it's an issue for male or female, it needs to be brought up before her girl pulls up in that driveway and say, hey, and she's like, I'm out, because you need to make sure that is said, because if not, then eventually that is where an insecurity comes into play, because whether it's on her part or yours, but it's not something that if you're not gassing her up to make her feel like the queen that she is, somebody else will.
And ladies, don't shoot me. I don't know if pencil skirts is in or stuff like that. Still, I'm just trying to paint a picture. That's all. Okay.
They're impressed the terminology pencil skirt. I'm gonna repeat y'all. He has a lot of sisters.
A lot of sisters.
But I'll even like address the fact, because like Keisha and I have discussed this beforehand, like when it comes to Black men and what, like when you say like, like you're not into like the weave and you want someone to like, wear like, not as much makeup or, basically wear their natural hair. And sometimes, especially recently, natural hair for Black women has just now become acceptable. Yeah. And so now we see it a lot more, but we also see the fact that sometimes, especially for some of these women who have corporate jobs or depending on what they do, it's not acceptable at work. So for them, you might like her to basically rock her natural curls and this, that, and the other at home. But when she goes into work to do whatever she has to do for a living, that might not be accepted. And so sometimes it's just easier to say like, you know what, like Marcus can just live with it, but this is my way of living. And so if we can't, kind of find a happy medium, and you might just say, well, just quit that job or do this, do that, or whatever, if you're not accepted there. Sometimes that's easier said than done. And that's where a lot of women do struggle with that when they have technically made it in America to be able to be accepted at work and at home. And it sucks, but there are some women who would love not to basically spend all the money that they have to spend on hair. They would love it, but they know that they're not going to be accepted in a doctor's office. They're not going to be accepted in a courtroom and things like that. So they kind of fall into the trap on what is acceptable in society.
Natural hair is expensive too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm sorry. sorry.
mean,
Natural hair, it is.
it is just because of the upkeep and the amount of time that you have to, go back, actually, have it done. And it's not as, I shouldn't say, it's not as easily maintained as,
Correct. Yes.
everything
So,
else. That's all.
also will say, in regards to that question, we're gonna move on to the money thing and wrap up. That although men, and I usually see Black men doing it. This is why we're having this conversation. I don't know if white men just aren't that bold, or they're more so intrigued by the fact that we're doing so many things to our hair. But you guys will, the things that you like, the people that you say are beautiful, have on a ton of makeup, probably don't know what their real hair ever looked like. And this is what you guys are attracted to. So, in the spirit of, we want the attention, or, go get our man sort of thing, we've had now equated to the point of this is what beauty is. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have strides to go, because baby, we're beautiful the way that we are. I really don't care what you look like, what size you are, what color skin tone you have. Beauty is ever, it's infinite. Okay. So, and it doesn't belong to one person to decide what beauty is. You almost got me preaching. I'm gonna stop right there. But we're fighting women, especially Black women, especially my beautiful dark-skinned Black women, are fighting an uphill, steepest battle. And like Topher said, we've made a progress, but there's just so many more ways to go.
It's
a
lot. It's a long way. It's a long way.
And I think that they're expecting, again, my beautiful dark-skinned queens, please correct me. Get in my comments, DM me, let me know, because I don't want to feel like I'm speaking for you. I'd absolutely want this voice to be yours, not mine. I'm only saying from my friends. I have a beautiful dark-skinned sister that I talk to as well. So but I feel like, they expect, the Black men to understand that. And so they want gassed up by you guys. And you guys are the ones who are the faces that are tearing them down. So it hurts more. They expect it from everybody else, not from y'all. Which brings me to the next thing, which Topher, okay. I love you for being so open, because this is gonna kind of, I feel like your input is even more important on this, because your wife is white.
Yes.
So now, and this is not a dig at you. First of all, I love Haley, so I hope she loves me after this. But I find it to be because of the emotional and communicational barriers that, we have to celebrate Black love when we see it, because it's becoming less and less of a thing. And now you have, this is why I don't mess with Black women, this is why I don't date Black men. Now we have that. So we're celebrating and watching Black love. But at the same time, I can't help when I see these successful Black men, and then I see their beautiful white wives enjoying, they bring them up in success too. And so I'm like, why do successful men, Black men not bring, hold on, let me finish. Y'all about to jump on me. Wait a minute. Why do they not bring these beautiful Black queens up in success as well, in regards to, because then you have these Black women who, I've seen these Black women killing it, starting their own business, doing this, but they have done it by themselves. So
you want to go first, or you want me, Topher?
No, I mean, you were squirming around. I'm just go ahead.
Topher's patient.
Okay. Well, no, because I actually just had like a conversation like this with a few of my coworkers at work.
All right.
Now, as far as the athletes go, because I mean, it's no more the athletes that end up with white women.
No,
it's not entirely true.
Black men, we're not gonna do that.
But I'm gonna touch the athlete base first. I'm gonna touch athletes base first.
Okay.
Athletes, because when Black women go to college, they're already behind the 8 ball. If you're Black, regardless, when you go to college, you're behind your white counterparts. So you have to study and focus a lot more harder, and you don't have time to stroke this athlete's ego. But now, from my time being in college and seeing the athletes and seeing the white girls that come around these athletes, they stroke their ego. They know their points per game. They're at every game or whatever. The black woman is the girl that you see in class, that she's doing her job, she's doing her work. And so he's just there to, that's kind of like the homie to him, who he gets his notes from. This is what I've seen as far as from the athletes in school. You want me to break it down?
I know.
You want me to break it down? I'm breaking it down. So this is they're like the homie. That's where you got the notes from or whatever. But because she don't got time to stroke his ego, she got work to do. And so, when that work is being done, it's like, oh, you ain't got no time for me. But I forgive me for being politically incorrect, but Becky over here got all the time.
Swear to God, that was the name that popped in my head.
She got all the time because she's not on financial aid. She's not on scholarship. She got the time because 9 times out of 10, her family's paying for her school, or it's there because and so therefore she's around this person more. So that's why I kind of as far as for the athlete base. Now, as far as for like the businessmen, they're around all the white men that are able to fund their business. So they have to play kiss ass to get whatever it is that they're trying to go. And when they're around all these, and they're at these cocktail parties, they're at these.
But go ahead.
They choose to. You're right. They don't have to, but this is what they choose to, because this is what they feel that they have to. This is what they feel they have to. Now, if you feel that way, I can't argue about what you feel that you need or have to do. So, but you're at all these. You're trying to get that check cut by Bob. So you're around all.
We're about to report our podcast.
So you're around. They're around all them, and then that's kind of who they're around. So they have to put almost like a facade on where they come from to be somebody who fits in to get their business or to look apart, so they feel like they have to be to make that money. And when they put on that facade, you're appealing to Becky, and therefore now Daquan and Becky got some light-skinned babies.
Not Daquan, Marcus. Come on, bro.
Oh, my bad. I'll use Jerome. Jerome is the black man's name. Jerome. So
it's Tyrone, but okay.
Jerome, Tyrone, Daquan, it's all the same. So that's just what I think that happens along that case. But I also want to touch on the aspect of the black woman being successful and having a hard time getting a black man, because I'll say this: black men are more inclined to take a woman who doesn't make as much money as he does and build them up or whatever. A black woman has a hard time sometimes taking that man who don't make as much money or not on the same level of college degree or education as him, but he's a hardworking man. But since he's not college educated or doesn't make 6 figures, sometimes that's a turnoff for them, because they feel like, oh, well, I made it, why couldn't you? So, sometimes that's how it's looked at.
I feel like we need a part 3 already.
I was literally sitting here thinking the same thing. Like, I feel like we're gonna have to we gotta explain some of these. But no, I do see your points. I do, and I'm gonna let. Because
I'll say this: we have 2 aunts. We have 2 aunts who are gorgeous, very gorgeous. We got aunt cousin. I'm sorry, gorgeous women. And I've spoke with one of them. And
first of all, you.
I am not name dropping.
My cousin like ain't 12 or eating like, but go ahead.
But because I'm not name dropping.
I got you. Don't name.
But yeah, like sometimes it's because they decided to put their career before finding a counterpart, a relationship, a husband. And a lot of people feel like, oh, well, I don't need love or whatever. Yes, you do. We all need love. We all do. It's part of.
But you can have love in your friends and your family, and people still be secure. But if you're talking about who I think you're talking about, it's not that they didn't want that. They just they wanted their career, and nobody fit into that, and they would have much rather. like my I'm gonna use Aaron as an example. I know we're talking about women, but his thing is like, I can't even do anything for my family unless I'm successful. So that's their drive. You have people
That's a lie. That's a
dream
lie.
driven. No, it's not. It's just different. You have people that go talk to
You
our older sister,
you can
dream driven, and who are dream driven, and that is what makes them tick. It's not that they love you less. It's not like it's it's something that it's more important. It's something that they need
I'm gonna say
to
this.
understand and move with them.
I'm gonna say this. The right person will never take you away from what your dreams are.
No, exactly. No,
So therefore that cuts all that out. That's saying I can't do nothing for my family unless I'm successful. Yes, you can. You can show them the blueprint. You can show them that you can have that person that builds with you to get you to being successful. There's always a person that can motivate you to be better, and that person that motivates you. But that's kind of how it came off.
I'm sorry, that's not what I meant.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say like I understood what you meant, Amanda.
Okay,
I also understand your perspective as well. Yeah. But a lot of times, it's how many people do you have to go through this honeymoon phase, the breakup stage, in order to technically find that right person to really ride this wave with you to make it? And sometimes, like, is it worth basically doing boyfriend girlfriend tryouts to see if this person is worth it? Like, it's just
exhausting.
Exactly. And so sometimes for people, especially so like you said, your aunt, if depending on how old she is, you've already tried this, and if it's or you really knew that you really had this drive to make it, so you put your energy in that. And if a relationship came along the way, great. If it didn't, you knew what your end goal was. And sometimes it's easier and more fulfilling for you as the dream chaser to make sure that nothing stands in the way to you getting to your finish line.
Right.
The big question that I would have for Black women: does the person that you decide to be with have to make more money than you?
I don't think that's a Black woman question.
Yeah,
I said
not,
women.
And I don't like that.
I didn't even say Black women. I said women.
Didn't he say Black women?
My bad. My bad. I didn't mean to say Black women. I didn't mean to generalize. But is that a factor? Could you come across a man who makes 30,000 less than you?
So here's my thing, because I really don't want to get deep in this, because I don't have the right to have a big opinion about it, because I don't have this issue. Aaron makes more than me. But I will say this: Black men, since this is what we're talking about, Black men have an unhealthy, which I believe Keisha said this, has a unhealthy relationship and mind process with money. Because back in the day, that's what was told. That's how they were free. You got to make more than this. You got to make this much like the white man to feel free, to be free, and move around this world like you matter. We have since found out that's still not true, but that's just the mentality now. And it's been passed down to generation to generation to generation, even in women. So they think, oh, if this Black man ain't making money, he's not successful. So I'm not saying that there aren't women who have that mentality, but I do know that Black men do not feel solidified unless they have that. Nobody told you that way. But
just like you were saying about the whole.
But I don't like that gets put on women, because if y'all have the communication, if y'all have the proper communication, a lot of times that's really not it. Would we like y'all to make money? Yes. Who wouldn't? That's a silly question.
Yeah, you're right.
Like when families get involved and you need to have kids and when things like that, because at the end of the day, you are going to be in a situation to where at some point or another, somebody has to stay home with that kid for X amount of time. Okay. Mm-hmm. Someone has to make sure that they're making enough money, or together you're making enough money to where you can afford daycare. You can afford to keep your lifestyle very similar as what you are used to as just as two, but now you have offspring here that you have to take care of. And
y'all killing me. Y'all are killing me.
So, I mean, like if your lifestyle is going to change regardless, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if somebody told me like I used to want at least like used to want a big family, and then I met my wife who said she didn't want any kids, and then that changed, and now we have a little boy, but like I can tell you with the cost of daycare, the cost of college, this, that, and the other, the cost of diapers, I'm cool if we only have one more. And that's it. I just think that a lot of times, like when we discuss certain things or certain pieces about what we want, and especially when it pertains to the financial piece, we don't really look at long term on everything that comes along with that, because it's hard for you can be two, like just the two, like a regular two-person household income, that sort of thing, and with how your life is currently, and life is good, great life, you get to go on vacations, then all of a sudden you end up with 2 to 3 kids, and that changes things. So sometimes that is the conversation that should happen in the beginning, especially when it pertains to the financial piece, because kids are expensive.
Kids are expensive. Finances is definitely something to talk about.
100%. But I also think that the finances, even with finances, it needs to be defined. I'm gonna say this, and Topher, I really need you to answer that question.
I want to answer it.
Okay, I know you do. Like, it's important to have your perspective, but I'm gonna close that portion of it by saying, define what provider means to y'all two in your house. Do not let the world tell you what a provider is, what a man does, what he doesn't do. That is decided between y'all two and God. Okay, what makes you okay with that? Because I'm somewhat of a provider. I absolutely am. But what I provide is not the same to what Aaron provides, but I need him to provide something different for me. And usually it's always the unnatural thing that we want provided. Let's
teamwork, make the dream work.
Exactly. So have the conversation. Define what a provider is for you two. Now, Topher, just to recap the question, just in case, because I don't know how we got off on that. Why do successful Black men not always bring Black women in their success?
I personally, from my personal experience, have always been around white people, and that's just my whole life. I've had my most interaction that I've had with people who look like me happen to be my family. And then when I went to TAF in 6th grade, and outside of that, and like college, and even like when I went out, I mean, like I would say, like going out to bars, I mainly hung out at white bars, basically, where it was nothing but white people.
Because your friends were white.
Yes, because all my friends were white. And so, like for me, like don't get me wrong, have I shot my shot at a few Black girls and basically been told that I'm too proper, too this, too that, Uncle Tom, sellout sort of thing? Absolutely. But like, I mean, the day I met Haley, I told Haley that I would marry her. She said some not so nice things back to me and told me I was obnoxious and annoying and don't ever talk to her again. But
were you drunk?
Listen, and I mean, she's my wife, so that's about it. Like,
who was right?
Spoken into existence.
So, but I think that it does hurt sometimes, I guess, like, when you see certain people, especially the fact that, I mean, for Black people in general, your mama's Black. So sometimes your mama is expecting you to bring home a woman who looks like your mama. And I'm not saying that like my mom had an issue with it or anything like that, but it's different. And I think for us businessmen, when we are in corporate offices, the majority of the people who are also in corporate offices don't look like us. I have been one of the only people of color in a lot of jobs that I've had, and just in different establishments. And I don't know if it's a part of it is mainly just because of who I've associated with and helped me get to where I needed to go. But it sucks because you do see, like, to give you an example, Haley and I went to a restaurant yesterday for breakfast, and I held open the door for her and then there was these 3 black women coming in the door. They gave her a dirty look, and then they gave me a dirty look. And then the girl said, just there goes another one. But it's not like I didn't intentionally seek out from the time I said I was going to get married to say I was going to marry a white woman. Like that's not what I set out. Now, when I met Haley, I said, I'm going to marry you. But outside of that, I just think that sometimes a huge part of it is who you are associated with. And for a lot of successful black men, people who are much more successful than me, it just depends. It kind of goes back to who is at those, who's on the golf course with you, whose house are you that you're going to, who, like, the business deals that, you're meeting with, who's your secretary and says, hey, I have this girlfriend I want you to meet, or the CEO is you're good friends, and his wife is like, hey, my girlfriend is recently single. Like, I think you guys should date. And I think a lot of times it comes into play with that. But I do feel like when certain black men make it in this world, they throw shots and negative shots at black women as if they're not good to be there. And that's and that's not fair. And a lot of times I'm just like, do you know your mama is black? Like, your grandma is black, and 9 times out of 10, that's who raised you.
And I also feel like that's where the whole, wear your hair straight, wear this, wear that, because if you bring that black woman along with you to these parties, you're trying to tell her how she has to dress, how she has to look, and now she's insecure about a few things because if she does something wrong, he's telling her she's not good enough. And that is completely and utterly wrong.
Y'all gonna make me cry.
That's completely and utterly wrong.
Honestly, I love what both of you said because it's so true, but I think it also points out a very sad truth. Why, in the year 2021, are we not seeing a good mix in crowds, in neighborhoods? And I'm not saying there won't always be that, because there's always heavy Mexican and Hispanic neighborhoods. Like, I understand that. But we're talking about corporate America. We're talking about, successful people. Why is it still so saturated? I just, there has to be something, but there's constantly this agenda pushed of, oh, you guys have the same opportunities as me. You can keep saying that all you want to. People feel more comfortable hiring a white person than they do a black person.
Mm-hmm.
They may not even understand why, but I promise you they do. I've had to deal with my own issues of why I feel more fearful around black men than I did white men. It was how I was, brought up. My mom's white, by the way. If I had never said that on here before, but my mom's white. But and so like some of my, white family members, they're not fans of black people. They will swear to you that doesn't matter to them, but some of their actions and things that they said, especially, when all this stuff came down about all the racial inequalities and everything like that, they showed their true colors. And then I had to really start digging deep and realizing some stuff and doing my own inner work for that. So we as black people also have these horrible thought processes of it. We could get to be a manager and we will still look at a white person to be more comfortable to hire. We may not understand it. I'm not saying it's done on purpose. I'm just saying that those are things that are happening. So when people attack us for when we get our own, businesses, they're like, no, we're hiring black. Oh, well, if we did that, you guys would be flipping it. Da, 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 da. You're right, because you already have the majority.
Mm-hmm. I always just tell people this way. And I just like when people say when people are like, oh, they must have needed to meet their quota. And like, I've had it happen to me, and I'm just like, well, I mean, they met it, and then they got me. So, like, exactly. I'm cool with it. Like, I know why. I know why in certain situations on why I've been hired compared to somebody else. Especially when I look around an office and when I go to meetings, I know why. Like, I'm not stupid, but I also will point this out back to the relationships, is that you will find more often that more successful white men are with women of color than they are white women sometimes in certain areas, or the woman of color is okay to be a mistress, but she's not okay to be a wife. And because to some aspect, it's true. It's true. You just
I'm gonna need that data.
But even if you look back, basically from the beginning of time, white men will sleep with black women all day long, and they'll do all kinds of things, but they'll never.
You mean from the white man's point of view?
Yeah.
I thought you meant from the black woman's. I was like,
no. And but then also from the basically telling the black woman how she needs to behave and how she needs to look and things like that. It comes from the fact of yes, unfortunately, it ends up rolling off into an insecurity, but she knows that she has to go with that if this is who she chooses to marry or this is who she wants to keep.
But now we get to the point where black women are now empowering other black women, embracing their beauty, their sexuality, and all of that. And now they're still being told that that's not wife material either. I'm not here to judge either way. Don't y'all come at me. I'm just saying each woman chooses their own path, but y'all are asking them to do two separately different things.
See, I'll say this.
I know that goes in.
No,
because I know where you got.
It's gonna be short. No, it's gonna be real short. That goes into me trying to control somebody else's life, and that's the one thing I will never do. Your life is your life. I can't tell you what you feel is good. I can't tell you what's good for you in your life. Only you can tell you what's good for you in your life. So that's pretty much how I sum all that up.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, now if women shot more though, you know.
Here we go. We're not here for that. Nope. I told you to say Saturday show. It's a different show. We're not doing that today, Marcus. You did.
Hey, I'm just trying to help my fellow men out there. You know what I'm saying? Trying to help my fellow men. Ladies, shoot your shots.
I am for that, but with women shooting their shot comes confidence, which comes sexuality, which means looking and making themselves feel good. And we like to get pretty and sometimes wear skimpy stuff to feel good. Sometimes. I didn't say me. I'm just speaking for some other women.
Hey, look, you ain't got to do it in person.
They're like, oh, do you? No, baby.
Look. Slide in them DMs if you got to.
Oh, Lord. That's another topic. That is another topic. So, Marcus, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you, bro. My twin, my love, my heart, coming on here and dropping some major nuggets. Actually, y'all, he was a little more insightful than I thought he was going to be. I don't know who this is. I'm just kidding.
Hey, growing up with sisters, you pay attention and you learn.
You pay attention, Dad? Did you hear that?
I pay attention. I pay attention to a lot of stuff. That's why I do a lot of small. I'm more keen on doing a lot of the small things and let the big things just kind of happen.
Good. I love it. I appreciate you both. You wonderful, successful, strong Black men who I absolutely do know is in touch with most of your feelings and communication. And I love that. I know plenty of Black men out there, ladies. Also, I just feel like this has to be said. A lot of these issues are not just black and white. I understand we can say, oh, all men do this, or, oh, yes, this is women in general. But we really wanted to really make it specific to our Black brothers and sisters because this is important. This is an issue going on in our community that I think really...
Because we matter.
Yes, we matter.
Yes, we do.
And we need to talk about these things so we can heal, so we can figure out how to get past them. So maybe this helps somebody be able to look at past, I almost said situationships, relationships.
Relationships and entanglements. Entanglements.
Right. Entanglements. No, go back at those and really do the self-assessment to see, maybe, stop and think, did I do that? Dang, that might be why I really did do that. So I'm hoping that this does spark conversation, that this helps people move on, helps people think about things thoroughly. And I'm all for being attracted to what you're attracted to. I am not saying because you are Black, you have to or should be with a Black. I am not saying that at all. Because I do believe
put down somebody else just because of whoever or whatever your preference is. It's not necessary.
It's not. But I don't think it needs to be broadcasted either. That's why I don't mess with this. Don't do this. It's okay. If you're more attracted to, a certain skin tone or certain eye color, that is fine. I really don't think that's a problem. So
it's a lot of people in this world. I'm sure there's somebody that's attracted to, all different types. It's a lot of people in the world.
Yes.
I'm about to mute Marcus. But
I'm agreeing with you.
No, I know. You over here plugging yourself. I'm done. You are cut off. So thank you guys so much for listening. Please, please, please. I really want to hear you guys' comments on this one. I got a couple feedback on the last one, which was really good, but I want to hear all around. So share this episode, talk to people about it, have them listen to us. You guys can have an honest and full conversation. Please hit me up. You guys can message me. I'm now the Amanda Effect on Instagram. I just want that to be known. It's Amanda Effect. It's spelled exactly as spelled on here. On Instagram, you guys can hit me up at Amanda Jean Dukes on my Facebook, or there's a comment section underneath on YouTube and a comment section on Apple Podcasts. Thank you guys. And as always, be authentic to yourselves and others. Have a wonderful day.
And tell me happy birthday February 1st.
Happy early.
Are you looking to finally get your podcast started? Or maybe you're looking to perfect the podcast you already have? Well, look no further. Dukes Multimedia LLC is here to help you with all your podcasting needs. We're here to help you grow and learn and make your podcast sound even more professional than you can imagine. Contact Dukes Multimedia LLC via Facebook or Instagram. Dukes Multimedia. Learn, create, produce.